we start with some verbiage and then we change it, or we start with some styles and then we change it, and we grow. So I just wanted to see you real quick how those kiddos grew up, and that's what we're doing as well. So today is about English class, and we're going to talk about words that we use and how many words we use, and maybe shifting your language a little bit. And it's not really doing anything totally different. It's how you're perceived. And as we grow in the new era of Mary Kay, then you want to continually to work on your verbiage and just make it more interesting. So, but the other thing with the words I think is really interesting is sometimes I think we stop after one time. And it takes 3 to 5 touches many times to actually get your thought across. How many of you have like toddlers or toddler grandchildren? Like, do they ever do what you ask them to do the first time you ask them? They don't. It takes forever. You ask them to do one thing. A 3-year-old can understand, 3 steps, and that's about it. How about teenagers? How many of you have teenagers? They ever? Yeah, there you go. I see some hands coming up. The first time, did they do everything you asked them to do the first time? No. And then what about spouses? I mean, they don't even hear you, right? Kind of depending on their age, sometimes they don't even hear you. So that's what we're going to also talk about, is sometimes how many times it takes. So I'm going to give you, okay, Heidi, you can start recording. Did you already start recording? Okay, perfect. Okay, so it takes 3 times. Last week, and so I'll give you a couple examples, and HDK is going to give you an example. So Heather, I'm going to tell you you're coming up in a minute, but it takes 3 times sometimes when you say something. So I invited several to be in our event last Tuesday night, and I had several that said yes. And then we got on, and I got the message of, oh, we're late getting home from dinner, not going to make it. So my second message was, great, I have a recording, right? So I sent the recording, and they were able to get on the recording, and then I didn't hear anything. And so my third time is I switched up a little bit, and I made sure that I posted some products that we featured on social media for the 2 people that actually sent video to, but one of them was somewhat responding back and forth to me. And then the third time I sent her a little link and said, hey, you might want to look at this because I've got a half price item for you. Just hear a little bit of your feedback. And then I posted something else on social media, and then I got a $200 order from this woman who said that was the best thing ever. So thank you, Heidi and Brenda, for last Tuesday night. But she had seen it. She knew I was with her. She'd seen it again, and it took several attempts. So that's one thing we're going to talk about today, is sometimes it takes what we call layering, or getting the message out there, several different ways for people to get it. And then Heather, you've got a great cat story, and I want you to tell that cat story because it says the same thing.
I have a lot of great cat stories, but here is the one she's talking about. So I had a friend on Messenger send me a post from one of her friends, and it said, we've got this orange cat that has shown up on our doorstep. Does anybody want it? We've been feeding it, but it needs a home. And so I looked at the message and I was like, oh, so cute. Let me know, updated. Keep me updated on if you find this cat a home, because everybody knows that you just drop off animals at my house. Like, it's fine. We will take them all or find them a home. And so then I saw that same girl at a birthday party, and she goes, hey, that cat is still showing up to my friend's house. Are you interested? And I was like, girl, the last thing I need is another cat, but just keep me updated on how it's going. And so Frank and I were driving home from the birthday party, and I said, we're probably getting that cat. And he goes, yep. And I was like, I don't want a cat. And he's like, I don't want a cat either, but we're probably going to get this cat. And I'm like, okay, well, if she messages me one more time, then we're going to get this cat. And we're going to name it Ernie, and Ernie the orange cat. Like, we had a plan, the whole plan. And she never messaged me. One more message. The third time is the right time, and I would have had a new cat. And it all stopped. If one more message, I had a new cat, and I didn't want a new cat, but if I was asked 3 times, would I have? Yes. So 3rd time's a charm, Rox.
There you go. Well, and so it's just like that in real life, whether you've got the children or whatever. When I started kind of looking at this, and Heather and I had some conversations back and forth about, just verbiage and what we say, I started kind of doing a little Googling. And you know what happens when you get Googling? There's something called suggestive selling. So this book pops up. Let's see if you can see it. And it pops up the first time, and I'm like, that's exactly what I kind of we're talking about right here. Went on about Mary Way. The next day, it popped up as somebody posting about this book. And I went, hmm. The next day, it posted in a whole different place of a friend who had read it. Okay, it's called Suggestive Selling by AI. I mean, it knew I was already interested. It came back a third time, and guess what? It arrived on my doorstep today. Because I did it. I mean, I was like, there's just so much in here. I can't wait to read it, but I haven't read it yet. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today is repeating yourself and not being afraid to. So this is another thing I want to say as a little disclaimer. If you're a perfectionist, or if you kind of suffer from a little bit of what I want to call fear of failure, which that can be me. Sometimes we work too hard to be too perfect. So what I'm saying today, I don't want you to go, oh, well, I better wait till I get all my words perfect and all my paragraphs perfect and all my grammar, because guys, I have sold $2,000 with a misspelled word in a graphic. And kind of the queen of that, really. It's kind of embarrassing, actually. But I don't want you to wait until you have it all perfect. I want you to start practicing now, though, with new words, new verbs, different ways of saying things. And we're going to call it a language shift. But you want to be sure that what we're doing today is an extension of what Heather talked about last week. She talked about disruptors, talked about changing things and about improving things and doing things in a little different manner. So that's, you can kind of think of that. We're really doing the same thing. So the other thing I'm super proud of is I've got notes for you to take home. And so whenever we get through, I will send the notes to the directors and they can get them to you of what we talked about. Because I know sometimes it's just hard to take all the notes in the world. And I tend to talk a little bit fast. And so let's go. Let me share my screen real quickly with some notes for you. And you don't want to see that. Hang on. You want to see this. Make sure I get the right one up here. Okay. So you'll get a copy of this, so don't worry about all of it, but I just want to go through. We're not changing what we do. We're changing how it sounds to the people we serve. Okay, so I just kind of went through and at this, Heather, this is after our conversation last week about what's traditional and what's a fresh alternative, and how can you kind of shift from what you're saying. So here we go. And if you have anything to say in this chat, would love to hear what your words are, but traditional ways of talking about your customers is to call them a customer, correct? A fresh way would be to address them as a client. And why is because it suggests, like Heather talked about last week, as that relationship, that they're just not buying a one-time thing from you, but they're being serviced by you. They're being guided by you. They're being educated by you. So all these words have the same thing. So I want to recruit someone. No, we want to invite them. We want to welcome them. We want to introduce them to the opportunity, to a career conversation. Why it works is less pressure. And in today's society, that's what we're looking for a lot of times, is the less pressure. Follow up. I have follow-up all over my calendars, but I don't talk about follow-up with a customer necessarily. That's my language. That's what I know I need to do. That's what I knew what they needed to do when they were trying to pitch this to me, right? Is to follow up with that person. But what you want to call is I want to check in. I want to reconnect. I want to continue a conversation. And so those are like your fresher things. Coaching. That's become a little bit of a, oh, somebody's going to coach me, instead of just mentoring and success and strategy sessions and growth conversations. And we were talking last week about tags and groups. And rather than calling it a group, call it a community. Develop your Voluform community. So those are some fresher words for you. Same thing with hostess. Hostess implies I got to make punch, I got to make cookies, I got to make all this stuff, I got to clear off 4 tables, I got to invite 40 friends, where a lot of times you're just wanting to partner with somebody, right? You want to have more of a session with them. You want them to earn some free products just by inviting a few friends. Same thing with referral. Even the word side hustle, according to my AI, my chat, Lex, who is my best friend, said, the word side hustle means working at night and late in addition to. So the newer ways to say that is flex income, income stream is huge actually, but that flexible income, because that doesn't indicate 11 p.m. at night. Like a side hustle sometimes would, we used to call it, what we used to call it, a night shift or something like that. So anyway, so we kind of just a little more natural wording. Booking. I need to book you. Don't you just want to die when somebody says that to you and they book you? That makes me feel like I'm going to the dentist. Please, no. But schedule you for a beauty session. So those are some things that you can, just revise in what you're saying. Appointment, call them consultation, call it a session. Okay, new foundations that were launched back in May. We were challenged to try to get 30 matches done. So I would tell people, I'm practicing. I'm training myself to get good. And that's how I didn't say I need to match you necessarily, or I need your face, or I need, okay, need. Don't use the word need. Need indicates less than. None of us are less than, right? We're always working towards. Okay, so just a couple of things in here that are super important is people don't resist being served. And so if you're going to serve somebody, that's much better than if you're going to sell them. Okay, so how you say things. Okay, we're going to skip down in here, if you can see my little cursor, to words we retire. So these are kind of what was suggested as being retired words. Customer, recruit, as in I want to recruit you. Right? We haven't been really saying that for a long time, but that was what it said was the most common word that you could do. Follow-up, hostess, booking, appointment. Appointment indicates it's maybe 2 hours. Most women don't have 2 hours, so they're gonna, they want a session, they want a quick consult, that kind of thing. And then the side hustle, but words you can embrace. So these are super important. Your client, an invitation, I have an invitation for you, a check-in with you. Can we reserve a little bit of time to spend together? What about a beauty experience? Let's talk about earnings. We're not even talking side hustle or anything that indicates job or work or lots of extra hours. But let's just talk about earnings. People love profit and the flexible income. So, so we're going to come over here that other words worth updating. So instead of party, there you go. Experience, gathering, beauty event, girls' night, pop-up beauty bar. Those just sound like fun, right? They just sound like fun. Not using the word sell. Recommend, guide, match. I'm going to move all the way down to here to closing the sale. When I came into Mary Kay 36 years ago, a long time ago, we would talk about at the table when we're closing a class, we call them classes in the beginning, right? And then we moved to party and now we're into sessions, so it's the same thing. We're doing the same thing. But I would say, I'm going to close the sale over at this other table. And now I think, oh my gosh, people probably go, she's going to close me. Not a great way to say that, right? So what I loved is I'm going to help you decide, or this is my favorite. We're going to find the best fit for you. We're going to find the best fit for you. And I've actually started using that actually in my conversations when I'm talking to people that I haven't booked yet. I haven't scheduled. I'm changing too. Something I'm going to schedule is I would love to find the best fit for you, for your acne concern, for your wrinkles concerns, for the things that concern you. Like we talked about last week, the things that, how can we be solution oriented? And I love that. We're going to find the best fit. Okay, so you heard Heather talk about her cat and the 3 times. Can you think of the last time that you took 3 times to get somebody to say something, right? So what the idea is to stay connected till she has a reason to respond. So my guest last Tuesday night didn't have a reason to respond to me yet because she hadn't listened to the recording, right? And she thought she missed it oh dear, I missed it. At least she was nice enough to tell me that she wasn't going to be on 5 minutes before, right? But it was my job to reach out in a different way again. And that was with, oh, girl, it's fine. You can listen to the recording and then follow up with that. So typically what Heather and I found last week when we were talking is it takes 3 times, but you know what, how many times it takes for you to be real to somebody is 7. And that's a little bit more intense at first, but if you think about it, it's really not too hard. So if you want to be real to this person, like when she goes to, if she happens to still shop in person, which we don't find that anymore very much, but if she happens to go through Dillard's and she goes through cosmetic aisle, the thing that you really want her to remember is my gal Callie has that mascara. My gal Heather has the best sunscreen. And so to get that in her head so she doesn't go, oh, look at those mascaras, but that she says, my gal Heidi has this. You've got to touch her 7 times. So you've got to mentally start thinking about that. So how do you do that? I think this is kind of the hardest thing because a lot of times what we think is if we post it on Facebook, everybody sees it. And if we post it on Instagram, everybody sees it. It's just a layer. Is it important? Because my customer, when she saw that I posted the boosters, it reminded her to call me because there was 2 boosters that that Brenda and Heidi sold her on last week, right? And so, but it reminded her because she kept thinking, I'm going to get back with her. But when you put yourself in their shoes, they're busy too, right? So different ways that you can say it, the same thing. So I'm going to just suggest that you communicate through all the different ways. So mediums would be your website. You can always send out a website link. You can always send the link for that. Your email, if you're in your InTouch and you have your customers in, you're my customer in my shop, you can email all of them. I rarely check email and I rarely respond to email, but I've got customers that is how they respond best. So it may catch 2 or 3, but it'll catch a few. So social media, I mean, you've just got to be there. It's got to always be there, whether it's perfect or not. That's probably my biggest fear is that I'm not going to say something right on that. And then your messenger services, whether it's WhatsApp or it's Facebook Messenger, whatever that is for you or for them. And then PCP, because snail mail sometimes still works. And I was at a lunch last week with some top directors in the Chicago area, and most top directors have a huge PCP percentage that their people are getting magazines. You know why? About the time that your customer is maybe seeing something on the Ulta ad, or maybe seeing something from the Mac ad, or wherever they're seeing things, this book comes in the mail. And it's something to physically look at and see. It's one more way to know that you're believable. That you're really believable on this. And then I put pigeon on there because I jokingly tell my customers sometimes that, girl, I haven't heard from you in a long time. I'm about ready to send a pigeon. And that sometimes just makes them laugh. And they're like, oh my gosh, I've just been so busy, or I had this going on, we had a death in the family, whatever. Because they're busy too, right? But I want you to always remember that 7 is your magic number. Okay, so we're going to go to another page real quickly, and I'll send you these notes just so that, because I know it's hard to write all this down, but, and this has 1 repeated area, so I'll get rid of that. But this is how people will need to respond to you. And I have it on here twice. I didn't mean to do that, but maybe that's because you need to hear it twice, because it's really the 3rd time that you get it. But they respond when these 4 silent questions. So it's maybe not questions that you ask, but if you could start thinking about these when you're talking to your clients, when you're talking to your team members, when you're talking to people who are prospects for you, who have not been introduced to the product yet, but still is, do you see me? And the questions that Heather had to start with last week, I think really are good, because it's, the questions of what concern can I help? What problem can I help you solve? What problem? And that's, do you see me? Do you understand me? Can you help me? And what's my next step? Those are the 4 things that are silent questions, but that's what we're doing is we're recommending, complimentary products, browsing experience, your browsing history on everything is important. So what is your customer been browsing for? What have you talked to her about in the past? And then building community, not necessarily groups, but community where you gather people, whether it's your tags that you use or your groups on Facebook or your messenger groups, which I think are more effective right now. And then I saw this posted by National Sales Director Christian Sharp this week, and I thought, again, my radar was up on verbiage and what we say and what turns people on and what turns people off. And I thought these were really important, that I'm trying to get into my red jacket. I'm trying to book my perfect start. I'm trying. What that indicates is I want to, but I'm not really doing it. So you need to use words that show that you're in motion, even to yourself. I think this is more important for your self-talk and your English lit for you and who you are is what you're telling yourself. Because if you use the word trying, you've already given yourself an out. Like, I don't really have to do this, right? I mean, I'm trying to do a pull-up. Right? I'm trying, but am I doing it? Okay, so these are some words that I just said these will be more for yourself, but also as you're talking to clients, if like this next year, I always have a goal to double my customer base size because people move, people change their mind, people do go to Ulta sometimes and you want to kill them, but they do, right? So you've got to constantly be building more, but I'm not trying to build my customer base. I'm working towards building my customers. I'm building a client base. I'm growing a bigger group of clients. I'm developing followers. I'm focusing on a national court. And the other great thing about when you're talking to your clients is they don't know what Star Consultant is, right? And they don't know what Queen's Court is naturally, unless they've been in Mary Kay before, they've been following you a long time. So sometimes we throw out those words and they're like, girl, I don't know what that means. But all you have to say is a national recognition, or I'm working for a national contest, or I'm working for a challenge that Mary Kay put out that I get a beautiful diamond ring for. Just think about what you're saying. I'm improving, I'm strengthening, I'm making progress, I'm leaning into, I'm pursuing. Do you see where these are all action words? They're every single one of them action words at taking steps towards. That helps your client understand where she fits in your picture. Where does she fit in your picture? So these are all words, verbiage, things, and we'll get them to you so you have them for sure. But quality and not quantity when it comes to words. If you say too many words, you lose them. So you got to be really careful. If you're a person that your communication skill is to tell every little detail, just have somebody work with you on that because it may not be apparent to you, but it's apparent to other people. But it doesn't have to be one for your life as a Mary Kay lady. She is just like giving me a million ideas and I can't handle them all. It means you do repeatedly ask them, but you do it in different ways. So I thought these were really good ways that you can connect with your clients. A skincare tip. Like my go-to for years when I would follow up with people would be call them and say, I'm following up with you to see if you need anything. You see how many negative words I just used there? How many negative words did I use? Follow up, need. Oh, that makes me feel needy and not very successful, right? So instead of that, I have learned over the years to say something different. I had to learn a new skincare tip that I think you'd be interested in. Stop, let her respond. Don't tell her yet. Because the more two-way street that you can verbalize with somebody, the stronger that bond's in the time frame is going to sink down slower so that you can, or closer together, so that you can have the chance to really get her scheduled with you and to develop a relationship with her. So you don't spill all the beans at first. Don't spill the beans first. Hey, I have a seasonal makeup idea that I think it'd be perfect for you. You don't have to start with our fall products are in and I'm doing my doing my demo session next week. Can you come? Because to be honest, that's sometimes my approach. Like, you just want to get in there and get it done. A birthday greeting, super easy. A thinking of you message. I was just thinking of you last week. You tried the new foundations, and I'm wanting to know what you think. Right? So that's a great follow-up without calling somebody and say, did those work okay? Is it all working okay? Sounds timid, and that doesn't sound professional. A product recommendation, something they mentioned. Okay, this is the beauty of actually spending time with somebody and developing a relationship with them is you learn a lot about their lifestyle. So if I got a lifestyle person there that loves to vacation, my brain is going to note on her that she might want fast, minimalistic, easy to pack products, right? And so, okay, if I'm talking to somebody who's got a wedding coming up, that's totally different. She's not going to be minimalistic on that wedding, right? She's going to want more, but you're able to tailor that conversation towards what she's looking for. Remember when we said, do you see me? Do you understand me? That kind of thing. So you start to make a mental note of how your words can actually help. Invitation to fun events. I love inviting customers to events, especially Zoom events, because it gives them a glimpse of somebody else's opinion besides just mine. And I think that's super important because I think sometimes we have our own set thing, but other people can say it differently. And then, are you liking that moisturizer? And so anyway, I'm here to serve you. I'm here to work with you. And then the last thing I just wanted to touch base on is just how to do a simple script. Probably the number one question I get from consultants most of the time is, what do I say? And how do I say it on a script? And so these are just easy. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm looking for. Now, this is not what you say to her, but this is how you're going to develop it. Are you following me? Okay. Here's what's in it for you. And are you with me? A lot of times we go, you in? When we finish something, hey, you in? That kind of thing. So, what you're doing, it could be finishing a perfect start, completing a challenge, conducting a one-question survey. Those are just things that we've done over the last 3 to 5 weeks, right? Inviting people to something, inviting them to look over or listen to a call or whatever. And this is what I need now. You don't say I need because we're negating that word, but this is what you're going to be looking for. I'm looking for a few more faces to experience the product. I'm looking for sharp women who would spend 20 minutes listening to the marketing plan. That kind of thing is what you're going for, not the need and all that kind of stuff. And then what's in it for her? You've got to always have a hook or an incentive. So before I get on the phone with somebody, probably the number one thing I'm going to do is, why would she want to spend some time with me? And so you have to ask that question where it goes back to, do you see me? Do you understand me? So after you're asking some questions, you can kind of get, is she somebody that likes maybe a half-price product? Is she somebody that likes her picture on social media? I have booked people to say, I really want to match your foundation because I think other people need to see it. And if they're an influencer type person, you got her. That was your hook. So, what is your hook? Is it a referral gift? Is it, that kind of thing? And then, are you with me? Are you in? So the 3 things I just want to be sure that you hear is that negatives to avoid: the need, the try, and the word dollar. I had to stick that in there because when you're announcing how much something would cost or something would need to, they say, how much is microdermabrasion? We'd never say $56. It's 56, just 56. That's in there. That's a super important verbiage part right there. Okay, so we have a little homework. Let me can stop this. But first of all, I want to see if other directors, before we go any further, what input would you have on verbiage and what's working for you? And what are some things that maybe you heard today, or maybe you've got something extra that you want to slip in here really quickly before we end our class time today?
I would say for me, I did several of these conversations last week just with this new mentality. And I left those appointments and I had 2 virtual and 2 in person. and just talking about skincare goals, which Callie and I laughed. We're like, well, we have skin goals. Why wouldn't anybody else have it? Like, duh. And so, I mean, we just rattled off. I want, and so everybody does. But I left those conversations and I felt so light. I felt so fulfilled instead of sometimes I feel drained because I feel like I'm performing or I have to say all the right things or I have to meet her every need and I have to sell her on this. When you don't, you feel so much lighter and just like all I did was help. I had no ulterior motive, I had no agenda, I had no end game, and they were so much more successful. They were faster and I felt better. So that was my experience.
Yeah, I absolutely want to echo this too. I think that the value of this as well, it's so relevant, Roxy, Professor Roxy, that we can use these uh we can use these shifts that you just gave us both when we're speaking and we're with somebody and over text message. You know, there's so much that nuance, especially, and I get it that there is so much power in our voice, but in this day and age, very few people do answer their phone. Um, but we can use these words so much more powerfully, I think, to just give us a leg up. That's the whole idea. This is just like giving us a little bit of extra um, percentage to get some yeses because we're not just going to stop on the first one. We're going to keep going as well. But so I really love that too because with the tools you gave us, we can take a quick minute because we are typically texting or voice messaging. You know, if you want to take it to the next level and you're not quite ready or they're not answering their phone, that voice text or voice message so they can hear your voice, but we can have this cheat sheet in front of us and you can always, try it out on Messenger. If it doesn't, you just delete it and you try it again until you get it right. But I think it just gives us that extra leg up. And I will say this too, if you've said the wrong things in the past, it's fine. It is totally okay. My philosophy is kind of like my relationship with the Lord, and I'm just going to say it because I'm a spiritual person, that, if you're trying to tell somebody about the Lord, like you can say all the wrong things, the Holy Spirit's going to go ahead and work it out. Okay. So if you said everything wrong in the past, if a girl is meant to be with you, she will be with you. She will be your client. She will be on your team. So, like, don't stress out about it. That's the whole point. But from now moving forward, now that we know, let's be better. And I thank you so much, Roxy, for your research on this and your real world. Now, those conversations that you've had, the whether you had 5, 10, those of you that had 30, we're not done with the conversations. We can now go back as we are following up, little do they know, following up, and we can start to use some of these words to again move them in the right direction. So excellent. I see Brenda's unmuted.
Yeah.
What do you have to say, Brenda?
So a couple of things I was going to say. One, I love the thought process of client versus customer. So customer almost has a monetary tone to it, whereas client is like a mutually, I am using my expertise to help her, and it takes the focus off the cash transaction, though that is going to occur, and it makes the relationship more rich because a customer, maybe she bought from you 5 years ago, but a client, I'm actively servicing. She's not just a name and a number in my PCP list. She is someone that I am engaged with. And then also, you don't have to always be right. You don't have to have all the answers. I'll never forget when I very first started. It was back in 2011 when the new liquid foundations were launching. And so I was learning right alongside with Heather and Heidi, and I didn't do it right. And I went to seminar, and I came back, and what I did was I called every one of my clients and I said, oh my gosh, I just came back from some amazing training and I've learned so much more. I would love to get back together with you just to make sure that what you're on is the best. And even though everybody was totally pleased with their foundation when they came back and I rematched them and I had a better understanding, they were even happier. But I didn't say, oh my gosh, I screwed up. I was like, oh, I've learned some more. And, because I don't know about y'all, but I love the fact that my doctor, my dentist, my whoever I'm a client to is constantly educating themselves and constantly growing, because that is nothing but a benefit to me. I get to reap the benefit of the time that they're taking to expand and explore. So just a couple of thoughts. And it was so good, Roxy. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I know we're running a little bit low on time, so this is your challenge this week. And I would say 98% of my communication is always text. And so rarely people don't pick up their phones anymore, but I love voice messaging. And you're right, Callie, you can erase it if it doesn't sound right. I mean, I don't know how many times I've gotten on there and I'm like, oh, glad I can do beep, not do that. But that's the one way they can hear your voice if you've got some time to do voice messaging or voice to text or text to voice or vice versa, all the different ways. Aren't we so glad that we have so many ways to communicate? We have so many ways. And so, okay, so this is your homework this week, is to challenge yourself to change your verbiage 10 times. 10 times of changing your verbiage, whether you're calling somebody either your client or whether you're asking someone to gather people rather than to host a party, or you're inviting someone to experience an event with you. You see how I'm changing that rather than I want to book you as a guest. So 10 times, okay? And then I want you to try on one person 10 different times this week, 3 methods. Like you might send her a text, and then you might follow up on a messenger. And then you might follow up with sending her a great graphic. And then you might follow up with an email. 3 different ways on the one person that you're really trying to connect with. And let's say connect with rather than grab, or next face it you want to grab. I mean, let's talk about connecting and building that relationship and being authentic. And it's okay to make those mistakes. Oh my gosh, I'm the queen of mistakes. Let me just tell you, I have more misspelled words on anything than anybody in this group. But you give yourself grace. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. But we want to strive to just be able to be more relatable and be able to appear that we are servicing. Because like Brenda said, once you're servicing somebody, the money will come. The ring will come. All the different Star Consultant prizes will come if we're servicing and making that person feel valuable to us. So that is your summer school for today in English. And thank you so much for joining. I've never been called a professor in my life. So thank you, Callie, for that. Is there anything else before we talk about next week, or are we ready to end the class? Is the bell ringing?
I think the bell is ringing. I just was going to say really quick, Roxy, on a super make us all feel better about mistakes we make. I don't know if any of you follow I'm not sure exactly what her title is now, but she's got 6 offspring, I think. Sales director Devin Goal. She just helped finish the Pam Garner area. She's also a trip director, but she literally the entire time she was publicly tracking for the trip to Switzerland, her goal poster had Switzerland spelled wrong. And it was like this running joke. At the beginning, people were messaging her like, oh my goodness, did you know this was spelled wrong? So she started making a total joke out of it. She totally leaned into it. She was like, you guys, this is my personality. I don't care that it's spelled wrong. I'm still earning the trip to Switzerland. And she proudly showed up to her customer experiences, posted on social media and all the things with that spelled wrong. And guess what? She finished the trip. So I just want that to be hope for all of us.
Very true. All right. Bye. We'll see you on class next week.